This episode of Inside Running Podcast is proudly brought to you by Aid Station, Australia and New Zealand's leading online store for all things endurance, sports nutrition and accessories. Whether you're a seasoned pro or training for your first event, Aid Station has you covered for running, triathlons and anything else that gets you moving. Your road to the finish line starts here. Head to aidstation.com.au.
Welcome to episode number 346 of the Inside Run Podcast. Thank you for joining us for another week. Just saying off air, it could be a bit of a lighter show this week. Not a lot's happened in the last 7 days in the distance running world, but we'll be talking about a few race recaps. The European champs continued, a few Aussies racing overseas in France and Belgium and Sweden. Kenyan trials happened, listen to question, a few whispers written down here and a moose on the loose. So give us another maybe 60, 70 minutes tonight, and we'll get you through a run if you're out there pounding the pavement. Welcome to my co-host. He's had a big week, stood on the top of a podium over the weekend, returning to the trail world. I was listening to him on SEN during the week, Croaks, as well. Julian Spence, welcome to episode number 346.
Oh, thanks, mate. Do you reckon Cornsey will get me back to wrap up the Surf Coast Trail Half Marathon?
Not sure about that, but I've got in a whisper further down that I'll just say now that I reckon you're in a good position to be like expert comments on SEN for the Olympic coverage. Don't you think?
Oh, I reckon that's up Croaks' alley. He'll be the one waking up for that.
Nah, but where Cornsey loves you, and overseas listeners, SEN is Sports Entertainment Network, like a very mainstream radio station here in Australia, probably Victoria more prominently. I think because they introduce you as a former elite athlete. That's what does it. You've represented Australia, so you've got that credibility.
That's a bit harsh. Former elite athlete. And he's done. He's never
going to win a race on the weekend.
He's going to be an elite athlete again.
What more can I do than win a race to get back on the current elite athlete?
Yeah, you only won a race because all your teammates were out of town busting their ass for Geelong Region.
Well,
car broke down, mate. Car broke down. Couldn't get there.
Settle down, boys. We're only a minute in. My other co-host is a 217 man. He's up in, where are you? Canberra. 3 weeks out from the biggest weekend of his life at the Gold Coast. Brad Croker, how are you this week?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, Brady. I'm trying to work out when I start my taper because, I got like just a niggly hip. It's like, It's not enough to derail anything, but it's just annoying. So I'm like, do I back things off now, or do I get through one more week and then shut it down for a couple of weeks?
You threw some hay in the barn last week. Very big training week.
Do you have to taper when you're not racing? I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, like in the past, I haven't really tapered for this. I did two years ago. Probably tapered because I had planned on actually like racing it or finishing it. Whereas in the past, I would normally just train pretty normal up until maybe a week out, and then not do too much the week of the race.
The pacing job, you mean?
The pacing, yeah.
You're going to go to 35k too, aren't you?
Well, I'll go for as long as my fitness will allow.
Your fitness is heavily influenced by cash. Well, and there is cash at 35k, so you are getting there.
Well, yeah, I would like to get to where they stop paying me, which I think is 35k. So there might be a few k's if I'm starting to struggle. I'm like, Brady, just let me sit in for a little bit, just to try and recharge for the last few k.
I reckon you're fitter than me over the longer stuff at the moment. So I was hoping just.
So you blokes confirmed together?
No, not yet.
Yeah, I've got confirmation.
Oh dear.
Oh, here we go.
We had Ryan as our interview over the weekend, so I got talking to him off air, and he said, "Yeah, Man U 72 to 72.15 lead female pack."
It's like 2017 all over again.
Oh, they should make like an ESPN 30 for 30 on Man U, I reckon. The pacing judge we do over the years.
What about you? What about 2017? Brady's talking about petrol prices while we're pacing.
Oh, yeah. Go back and listen to that
painful.
recap.
You got to deal with 2 hours of him every Monday night. Then you got to put up with that on a Sunday morning.
And I reckon the petrol comments came about half an hour after Troopy absolutely gave him a spray.
Petrol comments were about 30k. Troopy gave me a spray at 5k.
What did he say? What were the words he used?
Because Brady, so I led the first, focus on the pace for the first 5k, and then Brady was going to take over between 5 and 10, and we got to like a drink station, and Brady like just dropped all of us, and I sort of yelled out and said like Brady, and like he mustn't have heard me, and because Troopy's in the pack, he's like, Croaks, is Brady meant to be pacing? I'm like, yeah, and then he just goes, oi, Troful, like get back here, and just a few other words.
It was a bit more, a bit harsher than that. You've done well
Love
there,
that.
Crooks. No, I was going through the.
What was Troopy doing in the pack? Racing?
Yeah, he was racing.
He was going to, he was going to race.
He was going to run with the lead females for like his last Gold Coast marathon. I think he blew up though, like 15k. But we went through a drink station. And I thought, get out of the way, don't get caught up here. Got out, got to the side of the road, and then got through a drink station. I've got like all these feet just like behind me, and I'm thinking I'm doing my job. I look behind me, it's just all these like sub-elite men who are trying to hang on to the lead women's pack. And then I'm like, oh shit, like the lead females are like 50 metres back. And then he's just like, Brady, do your fucking job. Like at the loudest voice you can, going through like Cavill Avenue, and just embarrassed me massively. Like what is he, a 208, 209, like hero of Australian distance running, just give me a massive serve. Then I had to back off and then go back to the pack, like, and run a meter in front of him. Like I thought he was about to have a swing at me. Yeah.
That would have been a good fight. A couple of little flyweights. Is that what they call under 40 kilo humans? Flyweights?
What's banter? Was it banter?
Bantam.
That's pretty skinny too, isn't it?
Bantamweight.
Don't know. But yes, that was fond memories from 2017, Croaks. But anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about someone who was in the arena on the weekend. Moose, give us a weekly recap into your win over the weekend.
Yeah, well, I was in the trenches, wasn't I? I was in there. Actually, we had a good day on Sunday. Anyway, I ran on Monday. I knocked off work, public holiday, down on the ridge, we call it, near the Great Ocean Road Chocolate Factory for the tourists around that kind of know Anglesea from that. It's a really flat little single kind of dirt path. Quite good, actually. So ran that on the way home. Next morning, did half with the dog out in the bush. Trail was pouring rain this day, real wet. Trails were a great spot to be out of the wind and rain. But when I got home, dropped the dog off, saturated already. I thought, jump on the treadie. So jumped on the treadie for 25 minutes after that. Watched that documentary you recommended, the Ingebrigtsen Pro Direct one.
Did you like it?
Pretty good. It was all right. It was a bit boring, wasn't it?
Yeah, like the running content wasn't huge in there, but like the scenes and stuff, is it artwork, the footage?
Oh, okay,
it was very
you're into
indie,
that stuff,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not into it, but I appreciate it.
It's good. You got a bit of an insight into the home life, but we've seen the show. What was the show called? Life with the Ingebrigtsens. What was that thing called?
Yeah,
remember
it's like the Kardashians,
YouTube?
but the Ingebrigtsens.
Yeah,
what was it called?
we sort of got a bit of a look into the home life situation there. 2 dogs. Put a lot of emphasis on the dogs. That little documentary. It's good. We used the treadie a bit going forward. Next morning, I did a workout. So I did 5 by 5 minutes. Now, I did this on the treadie as well. I am not entirely sure why I did it on the treadie, but I ended up on there, and I enjoyed it. I liked it. It's an easy way to control your effort, because outside I'd live on it's a slant. It's definitely not a hill, but it's not a flat surface. So if I go downhill, I probably lose about 8 to 10 meters maybe over the K. And then if I go back up it, I have to gain that much, obviously. So I don't have a good area to do workouts just out the front of my house. And I'm not that into my workouts where I'm traveling for them. So I thought I'd jump on the treadie, pump out 5 by 5 minutes, no idea what the pace was. My treadie's off the got all sorts of issues. So I just ran the heart rate. I ran what was the first rep? Actually, I fucked up because I did the age old not turn your auto lap off. So the heart rate, it's not working on this. Don't know what's going on here. Anyway, it was around about 100. I was sitting about 160 heart rate max. So it was below thresh, but it just felt right for me. Like it felt like threshold. And I'm not trusting the treadie pace. For some reason, I wasn't trusting the heart rate too much. Well, mechanically, I was having trouble getting going a bit. So I felt like that was a fine workout.
Jump off in between reps?
Yeah, just jumped off, kept the treadie going. What did I do? Not a lot. I've got you can see in the video there, I've got an open window right next to it. So I can get a bit of air through. I can spit out the window, which sounds disgusting, but that's the realities of running, boys. You know that.
How's the video, Croaks? Have you watched this?
No, I haven't actually.
Have a look at the setup here. How's Carla's comment? Must be nice to be rich.
Well, that's just, you know what? That's cheap comedy. That's just taking my joke on her and then using it for herself. Thought that was a little disappointing from Carla.
It is a good setup there, Moose. I look, I reckon treadmill sessions are really good, like especially when you're trying to build fitness. It sort of takes the ego out of it a little bit. You just set the treadmill or you set your heart rate and you're not influenced by your watch or your GPS. You're just like, yep, this is what I'm doing. And like I did it 2 years ago, literally at least one session a week all the way from the start of the year till Gold Coast Marathon, and like got pretty fit. I think it's a good training tool.
I think that's what I'm going to do. Because I'm not getting, like, I've got no motivation to join our training group, which run at 5:45 in the morning in Geelong, which basically means I'm leaving home at 5. I'm up at 4:30. That ain't going to happen. So I'm with you on that. I think I'm going to jump on the treadie and do my threshold work on there. And I'm going to introduce a second workout for the week. Probably not this week because I'm coming off the race, but the week after. And that's going to be outdoors. So, I like it. The day after, I ran an hour through the trails. And then on Friday, day before the race, I ran 35 minutes down on the beach, back up. Something happened on Friday. Must have had a meeting, leaving at 6. That's early. Can't remember what that was. No, I went surfing. Sorry. I ran early, all in the dark. Pretty eerie, actually, running in the dark through the trails with your headlamp on. It was super foggy, so I couldn't really see too far in front of me. Down on the beach, the fog had sat real low, so I had no idea if there's anyone else on the beach. I couldn't imagine there would be, but I also run with like a pretty angry German Shepherd, so running along, not knowing if there's anyone 20 meters in front of you, it's a little bit anxious. I was that he didn't sort of run straight into somebody. And then Saturday was the day of the race. I decided to run Saturday morning when I woke up. I actually hadn't fully committed until then. I don't know why, but I just left it late. I saw they had a sign up in the morning, but I forgot to. I didn't take my phone because it was a point-to-point race. So it starts at Point Addis, and then we run along the coast all the way down to Fairhaven, through Anglesea, through Aries Inlet, and finish at the Fairhaven Surf Club. So I left my phone in a bag to put that Bree was going to take to the finish line, and I didn't have my phone, so I just had cash. And I mustn't have read it right because they pretty much said there was no sign-ups on the day when I got there, but they were accepting of my cash.
Showed them your Aussie singlet, and they just let you. Didn't even have to pay for entry.
I paid overs, actually. Paid overs on the entry fee. And I'm glad I got there early because it was a bit of a schmozzle, the old parking down there. And the race starts on a really cambered, really soft beach. I wore trail shoes. I reckon that could be one of the first times I've ever raced in trail shoes. So, I don't know. I picked it because the trail's not very technical, but we've had some rain lately, so it's going to give me a bit more traction. I started out, the race was 21K, but the website said 23, so I expected it to be a bit longer. The first 500 meters, I was probably in 5th place running along the sand, and my heart rate skyrockets immediately. And then eventually I found some firm sand and got to the front of the pack. And then you go up a pretty solid hill once you get off the beach. So you climb from the beach up to the cliffs. And I was having to pass the marathoners. So there is a marathon that goes on at the same time, and they've all been through. So I was passing around about 4 to 4.5 hour marathon. No, 4 to 5 hour marathoners at this point. It's a bit of a staircase. So you can see that's the biggest climb of the race. And then once you get to the top of that, 10 minutes in, you're like, all I've done is run on super soft sand and up a big hill. And then you get to cruise for a while. So I tried to find this effort level that was comfortably hard. So I would get to the point where I felt like I was moving quite well, but if I felt myself push into that, this is a bit hard territory, then I would just pull back slightly. And you can see that up some steep hills, my heart rate got high, but then I did allow it to drop a bit during the downhill. Makes me question my threshold, this heart rate, because I spent a fair bit of time at it. I ran an hour and 22 minutes at 172 beats average, and I use 172 as my threshold. So that's interesting. By that definition, I probably shouldn't have been able to do that. But I guess there were periods of time when I was down quite low, going downhill. And the trail was pretty technical. So there were, you can't run hard enough around those bends and over tree roots and up and down staircases at a hard effort. So you do get a bit of heart rate drop. There was no one behind me that I really knew of, and every time I kind of had a peek backwards, I could see people, but I didn't know if they were marathoners or half marathoners. There was a section of sand that went for about 3.5K. That was all beach, and I have actually my favorite photo of me running of all time. It's got taken along this section. It's taken by Aaron Collins, a local photographer. He sent it to me after the race, and I'm like, oh, that's my favorite. I normally hate photos of me running, but he's taken this one from behind, so you don't get to see my my cute face or anything. But it's got a lighthouse in the background, and it's me on the beach that I surf at or grew up surfing at, and I don't know, it just felt like it was it's one of those photos that you're like, oh, that's cool. I want that one. That means something. So I like that. I got that picture.
Where do we see that photo?
What's up?
Where do we see that photo?
Oh, I haven't posted it. I'll put up on Instagram maybe tomorrow or something.
Okay. Give the people what they want.
Yeah. Full race report as well on Instagram.
No race report. No race report. Cover that now. Just ran the rest of the trails and had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this race. It was hard. I felt at about the 17K mark, I'd really run out of steam. My endurance from no mileage was poor. My legs were getting really fatigued. I got quite sore going down a staircase at about the 18K mark. You go straight down this, it is a staircase. And my quads are like, oh, you're going to pretty much warning me how sore they'll be tomorrow. And as I got towards the end, I went up a steep pinch at the very end, and that raised my heart rate really high. And I thought, okay, I'm very much finished with running now. Please end. So we pop out at pretty much the beach at Fairhaven. You run up the ramp to the surf club. You run through a tunnel, which is pretty cool. I ran with Pia at the end. She sort of saw me come out of the bush, and jumped in, ran through. Croaks, bit of family love. Took that from you, actually.
You're welcome. I won't give you shit like you give me shit. I think it's cute.
Kissed a few babies at the end. And then finished, and I sat down, and then all of a sudden the guys, like the commentators, and here's second place in the half. I was like, oh boy, I had no idea they were that close. And can you imagine how embarrassing that would be if you were running with your kid and you got past in the last 10 meters? Oh, that would have been awful.
So how much did you win by?
I think it was about 3 minutes.
Oh,
No, that's still plenty.
I felt like I was about 10 minutes in front. That's what I felt. I felt like I was going pretty well out there, and I wasn't going as well as I thought I was.
Was that Nath Mead in second? Do you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good fella. Good guy.
So his brother's one of the owners of Ernieold.
Yeah, we worked that out at the end.
Yep.
He said he had said he's got like a family holiday house in Anglesey.
Oh, does he? Yeah, because he spends a lot of time down there.
Yeah, I said, come along.
Yeah.
Come let me beat the shit out of you on a Sunday morning one day. I'll enjoy it.
Good fella.
What'd you win, Bruce?
Well, yeah, I won a phone chest vest thing. I don't know whether you've seen them on social media.
No.
What? Say that again.
One of those.
It's like a vest that you wear, and it's got a zipper underneath your chin where you put your phone, and that's it. That's all it is.
Can you also send a photo? Oh, can you put a photo on Instagram of you wearing that thing as well? Thanks.
I don't want to spoil it because it's definitely going for sale immediately. I will put it on just for you. Maybe I can put it in my marketplace pic of me wearing it. And I won a Brooks running voucher for $180.
Okay.
So I'm going to see what sales they got going on. Maybe buy something I can sell in the store.
And how did the likes of Gunther and Pete Kerr feel about you winning this when they were away at AV, especially after you had this rant about, when you sign up for a AV team, it's like a footy team and you don't miss any rounds.
Who signed up?
Well, you're not part of the job?
Who signed up? Croaks, show me my membership ticket. What other races have I done?
You know what I mean, though. If you're fit enough and healthy enough to do this, you're healthy enough to do a round of the AV.
Did you hear him 2 weeks ago, Brady, sit here and say, don't do it, mate. It's no good for you. Don't run AV. Don't run Bendigo. Can you remember that?
Yeah.
I think you're going to go out and do the 21K trail race.
To avoid injury, he was talking about, like not getting injured
it was
again.
At the same time I suggested this half.
But do you also remember him saying about, the AV team's like a footy team and, you
that
should
was
be
a couple of years
there.
ago, I reckon. Yep, good memory.
Yeah, and I mean, if I was playing footy for Geelong, then I would be showing up. But I haven't played a game yet, have I?
So you're saying you haven't, once you commit, you should be committing to help the team, whereas you actually haven't committed yet. So you're still doing your own thing. While your teammates, I'm just trying to figure out where they come on the weekend scores.
Moose would have bumped them up a couple of spots,
Mate, I would have come 12th Geelong runner, I reckon.
They come 9th out of 10.
Geelong?
Yeah.
Thought they went all right. Jeez. That's not too good.
Yeah.
What was our last score?
110th position. 73rd and 66 before that.
Oh.
You would have been top 50. Doesn't say names. You had 31st, 32nd, 50, 66, 73, 110.
Yeah, we got Maddie and Liam at first and second. I dropped Liam last weekend on the Sunday long run, so I probably would have beaten them both.
Did they give you a hard time about it or not?
A message?
Oh, I copped some shit from one bloke, but
Good.
I was quick to write back that I've paid my dues in that team. I've been running bloody cross country since 2011. Like I've been rolling for Geelong, even earlier, 2010. I've been running Geelong cross country. That's 14 years now. Just give me a Sunday at home or a Saturday at home for once.
What happened to your women's team, Moose? You only had 2 finishes, 29th and 98th.
Oh, yeah.
I heard they're going to be demoted mid-season.
Chuck them back to Divi 2, you reckon, Crows?
Weirdly, I think we're still going all right on the ladder. But you're going to have to talk to Ali about that. She's the self-proclaimed captain of the team, and she hasn't run any races yet. She's like me, non-committal, and she's not getting her people to the race. So hit her up about that.
Yeah.
Bit of a
Disappointing
problem down there, isn't there, Brady?
Big culture problem. Already started recruiting for next year too, Croaks, to get him out of a hole, I've heard. Do need to get Ali organised for a monthly episode. Heaps of people keep asking me, what's Ali Pashley up to? And I'm like, I've got nothing. I don't know what she's doing. So I need to
won't be a real interesting listen. I'll give you a tip.
That's good. That's good. How many Ks for the week? Did you run yesterday?
Oh, no, I was fucked. So I woke up, I was cooked. My quads smashed, my ankles from the trail, so sore. I had I've got this little like calf. I felt it during the race, actually. Real low lateral soleus soreness, which needed a day off. I couldn't have run yesterday. I was too sore. Today I could have run, but I didn't think it was a good idea. So I've taken 2 days off. Back into it tomorrow.
Smart move. Croaks.
Sandown. I'll be there at Sandown.
Oh, really? Sandown, the week before Gold Coast.
The only reason too is because someone made a bet that someone else would beat me. And so I've just got to go and pay $250 to defend my honour.
It's someone from your own
the
team.
bet's worth more than $250.
No, it's not actually. But my ego is worth more than that.
Yeah. From your own team, Moose.
Yeah, from my own team.
Yeah, that's that culture problem down there, Croaks, isn't it? Like they eat their own.
Yeah. Who is it? Moose, who do you have to beat?
Got to beat a bloke by the name of Lockie Doak. And do you know, Ali is the one who said, Lockie's going to beat you. And I said, bullshit, I'll bet you a slab he doesn't. And she goes, you're on a slab. I said, this is the easiest beer I've ever bought.
Well, you got to be careful what position you run in the relay, though. If he runs first, I reckon he'll beat you.
Nah.
Because you could get isolated. No. You know what I mean?
Mate, the bloke ran 34 minutes at fucking Albert Park. He's not beaten.
Okay.
Or maybe, you got a B team?
Yeah, B team.
Moose goes in the B team, he's in the A team, and
yeah, I was actually going to spot him. I was going to run I'm going to run Div 3. He can run Div 1, and I'll spot him that 50 meters or whatever it is, and that could be a perfect race.
The way you guys are going, I don't think you should be running in Divi 3.
We'll be okay, mate. No one likes cross country from our group.
Yeah,
they'll be there for the nice, clean roads, fast. You know how it is.
Moving on, Bradley. Tell us what you've been doing.
All right. So I kicked off Monday morning, public holiday, just under 11K at 425s. And then around lunchtime, went to the gym. So I've been trying to get to the gym like twice a week. Some weeks it's just once, but I'm getting there at least once a week. Then Tuesday, I haven't been doing doubles Tuesday mornings. I'm sort of just, I don't know, I don't want to get too greedy. Plus, you know, I just feel like it's a real long day. I get up early to get a double in, go to work, and then go and do like a late afternoon session. So I haven't been doing the Tuesday mornings. Tuesday afternoon, got home from work. It was absolutely miserable. It was wet, cold, windy, and then by the time we got to training, it was dark. So it was one of those days where, like, you're glad you've got a group to meet, because if you didn't have a group, it would make training really, really difficult. So got to like Old Parliament House for the warm up. And then actually weather wasn't too bad during the session, and then it started to bucket down when we were cooling down. But the session was 12 by 1 minute hills with about 90 seconds jog back recovery. And so we do them between Old Parliament House and New Parliament House. So it's not a super steep hill, but it's reasonably well lit. So that's why we do it there. This session felt pretty comfortable for me. I've just been having this like hip issue that like I can't really pinpoint what makes it better or what makes it worse, but it's like it's not always sore and it doesn't deteriorate over the course of a run. So like warming up on Tuesday, it felt sort of a bit like that sort of stiffness sort of pain, and then did a couple of strides. I'm like, oh, it doesn't feel great. I'm like, I'll see how the first couple of hills go, and I'll make sure that I run the hills with like really good form, because I feel like if I run them with really good form, it probably will take a little bit of load off my hip as opposed to like really sort of grinding up the hill. But then once the session started, like I didn't feel my hip at all, or again during the cool down. So I don't think it could be anything too major. pretty much ran this like with the group, maybe like pushed the last like 3 reps a little bit harder, but I never felt like I was getting lactic on this at all. So that was Tuesday night. Wednesday morning, I actually didn't go till late. That's right. We're having a bed delivered, and delivery drivers give you like a 3-hour window. It was like between 7:30 and 10:30, I think. So I basically went after that was delivered. So it ended up being like an 11 a.m. start, which was quite nice. And
what sort of bed, Croaks? I want to hear about this.
A queen bed.
For you?
Yeah, queen. Yeah.
You're not in a king?
No, not in a king. Queen's big enough. I'm not a big guy. I'm not a big guy, Moose.
It means you got to be touching your wife at night.
No, well, she's the one. She always wants to like cuddle at night, and I'm just like, nah, leave me alone. I need to sleep. I can't sleep while I'm being cuddled.
Don't need too many details about this.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a queen bed. So got that set up Wednesday afternoon. Anyway, the run was hour 45. Wore the new Mizuno shoe. Like that thing's just amazing. Like for a Wednesday run off the back of like a Tuesday session. So I averaged 409s for 25K. But I reckon in that thing, it would be the equivalent of rolling slower than 420s in like a Pegasus 41 or something. Like you just don't feel banged up at all. So that was
funny. It's funny. I don't particularly like that shoe.
Really?
Huh. Yeah. It's really weird. Everyone that I know who's worn it has liked it. And including you blokes, you've loved it. And then everyone else that I've know who's got one is like talking about how great it is. But I've just struggled with it. I've struggled with how stable it is. The fit towards the toes has annoyed me a little bit.
What, you haven't found it stable?
Yeah, not stable.
Oh.
I know it's not it's not supposed to be, but I have a very weird gait. And I need a bit of lateral stability, and that shoe, because it's got that big column down the outside of the shoe, it just kind of crushes on me. And then the knit upper isn't strong enough to hold my foot on the shoe.
Yeah.
So I like fall off the side of it a bit. But for the listeners, this is the Mizuno Neo Vista. Yeah. Comes out on the 20th, actually.
I feel like the Zebra that came out, or the Rebellion Pro, to me it feels just a stable version of that. And it was probably the instability of that shoe that I didn't necessarily like when I was doing sessions in it. Whereas this thing, and I'm doing it through mulligans, so it's on trails, which obviously means it's not as the surface is not going to be as stable as what the road would be. But in terms of cushion, in terms of how banged up you feel after an hour 45, you actually don't feel that banged up because of the pop in the shoe and, I guess the reasonably high stack height in the foam. Anyway, I've been enjoying it, but I only use it on a Wednesday. I don't use it any other time.
So why not Sunday?
Because I feel like you can go overboard with those sort of shoes, and because at the end of the day, I feel like part of the benefit of a long run is to almost bang your legs up a little bit, especially if you're a marathoner. And if you're doing all of your runs in those shoes, I think you get through 2.5 hours and you're not getting any of that sort of banged up feeling that you would have got in old school shoes.
So you're saying, let's get this, just let me confirm this.
Yeah. You're
saying that because you don't get the DOMs and muscle soreness that you would in old school shoes, that you're suffering as an athlete, that you're not adapting as well?
No, I think there's a time and a place. So, for example, the Wednesday, I've come off the Tuesday session, so I want to get an hour 45 of aerobic conditioning, but my legs are already fairly beat up from the Tuesday session. So I'm getting a good aerobic benefit by being out there for an hour 45, but I'm protecting my legs a little bit to get me through the rest of the week. Whereas come Sunday, I wear something like the one of the AthsVic shoes. That's not particularly like super, but it's also not like an old school, just, I used to do long runs in Pegasus. So I'm still getting more cushion than I would have from a Pegasus. But it's not like I'm not wearing a super shoe. So the runs are definitely harder on a Sunday for the same effort. Like, I pretty much average the same pace on a Sunday as I did on a Wednesday, but the Sundays definitely feel significantly harder on my legs. And I feel like there's some benefit in that.
I get what you're saying, because I heard a theory the other day that because we're wearing shoes that make us more efficient when we run now, but we're not running that much faster on our easy days, we're not training as hard.
No.
And so in order to take advantage of these shoes, we need to actually run a lot faster on our easy days if we're going to wear like a super trainer on them.
Yeah. No, that's not what I was saying. Like, I was running pretty much the same pace for my Wednesday as Sunday, but one was a super shoe and one was just a normal sort of trainer. Yeah.
Moose, before we move on from that shoe, are you, the feedback you're getting, are people using it like Croaks to get, say, like pick up 10 seconds per K? Or is it more like it's a way to protect your legs to do the super easy jogging in? Like, what are you hearing from the ground?
No, well, so... Because
I'm more the second one. Like, second run of the day, 4:45 just feels super soft, easy.
Let's just use the category as we'll say the super trainer category, because this shoe hasn't released yet, so not a lot of people are using it for anything. Only a couple of lucky ones that got them early. But this category for me is like, I think it's more about experience running. So you have a much better experience when you go for a run. The shoes are always a bit lighter, they're a bit poppier, they've got better foam, so they feel like a bit more exciting underfoot. They're easier to achieve a faster pace, and when you're running a bit faster, you feel good. So that's where I think the biggest benefit is. Like, I enjoy running in them more. I don't think that they look after your legs any more than like a high stack recovery shoe would, that you probably just don't enjoy running in as much. So like if Croaks puts a big, like let's say Croaks puts a Hoka Bondi on his foot and runs an hour 45, I don't think he's going to be any better or worse than in his Mizuno in terms of leg soreness, but he's going to hate running in it way more.
Yeah. Like the pop for me, I feel like my form is almost better in that shoe as well, largely because of the pop. It's almost like you hit the ground, you get so much more pop that then you don't really have to work as hard to keep your hips up and land underneath yourself. It's just like the shoe's almost doing it for you, if that sort of makes sense. It's definitely easy to run with good form, I find, with that extra pop in that shoe. Anyway, that was Wednesday, enjoyable run. Thursday afternoon after work, I got a pair of the Pegasus 41s, and so I decided that I was going to run from home around Yerrabee Pond and on the bike paths and take Lily out on the bike. So I put these on, and because I used to do like all of my easy running in the Pegasus like years and years ago, and when I first put them on, I'm like, oh yeah, like I can definitely tell they've got like a bit more guts through the rear of the shoe compared to the old Pegasus. But after this run, I realise now how much shoe technology is like keeping me in the game, because like running on a bike path in like a shoe that I would class as being very much like an old school trainer, like I don't know, it must be my age, because I used to love that feeling of having the road under your foot. Whereas now I'm like, oh, this is like I don't think I could run 140K if this was the shoe, if this was the only shoe that I had, which back in the day, this is pretty much all that there was, all that I ran in. So did 10K, 418s. My hip was probably playing up a little bit as well, which probably didn't help. But yeah, it just made me realize how far shoe technology has come, because I do pretty much all of my running now in either super shoes for sessions or a higher stack, softer shoe for recovery runs. And yeah, this this is not that. And it made me realise how much I've changed and how old I am. So that was Thursday.
If you ever need a reminder, I'll tell you how old you are, Craig.
Thanks. Do you agree with that, Moose, though? Like, new technology has probably helped older runners, because if definitely. If that's what, that's pretty much, that was the staple shoe back in the day. And I know that if I had to run in that, especially on the concrete, and like I will wear it on the trails, and it might actually feel better on the trails for me because the trails will be a bit softer as well. But I just felt like I was getting so banged up in that thing.
It's funny. I've been tending back towards those types of shoes. Maybe because I've been on dirt so often, but I think the Masters runner has benefited more from the shoe technology than anyone else.
Yeah,
especially around calf injuries, and the stiffness and the rocker that's you get from those shoes, and even more so from the race shoes. Like, can you imagine now putting a pair of the old Streaks on and going and doing a half marathon?
Yeah.
Oh, there is no way. You would be out for a week afterwards.
Well, I put them on within the last couple of years, just for an easy 35 minutes. I'm like, I don't know how I raced a marathon in these things. And so I rocked up for the session on Friday morning, and a few of the guys saw that I put on, like, on Strava, Pegasus 41 and Lily on the bike. And they're like, oh, how's the Pegasus 41? I said, yeah, good. Probably just not good for old guys. Like, there's so many more enjoyable, softer shoes that just look after your body and make running more enjoyable as you get older. So
but the Peg, I'm going to go into bat for it a little bit. It's a $200 shoe now. There is very few $200 shoes out there that feel as good as that does.
Yeah.
So that Neo Vista you're wearing is like $320. So for the runner who doesn't want to spend $320 on a jogging shoe, that Peg's a big upgrade on what it used to be, and that's sort of what Nike are going after there, that price point option.
Yeah. So Friday morning we met down at the lake. Pretty cool start. It was like, I reckon 0 felt like -2, -3, like even when we started the session. And so I didn't really know. Most people had just like a straight 30 to 35 minute tempo. And I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do. I was going to base it on how I felt. And so I did the first 30 minutes with Zach at sort of low to mid 320s. And this felt like a grind from K1. Like, I looked down at my GPS and I was closer to like 330s for the first K. I think it ended up being like 326s. I'm like, whew, this does not feel good at all. Like, especially when you consider, a couple of weeks ago, like, was racing at sub 320s, or on the watch anyway, 320s, feeling smooth. I'm like, oh, this could be a bit of a grind. But once I got to sort of maybe 20 minutes in, the pace came down and the perceived effort probably also improved a little bit. So I don't know if it was just me warming up a little bit. So anyway, I did the first 30 minutes with him, and then I continued back out the way that we'd gone for the first 30 minutes. And I ended up doing 15K at 321s, and like felt pretty good, like kicked down a bit the last K. So I was happy with that. I just wanted to do something a bit longer at close to what we have to do at Gold Coast, which obviously this pace is a little bit quicker than what I have to do. So that was 15K, just a short cool down, 2.5K. Went to the gym later that morning, and then that afternoon went out for a double, ran 4:18s for 35 minutes. And it was weird, like with my hip, like warming up once again didn't feel great in the morning, but then by the afternoon, like that afternoon run, there was like no hip pain or tightness at all. So then moving on to Saturday, we had like this hockey gala day first thing in the morning. So I didn't get out till like 1 o'clock. I just did 15K at 4:12s. Can't remember what shoe I wore for that one. And then Sunday morning, I did 2.5 hours, 36.5K at 4:09s. With a couple of the boys that were doing like 2 hours to 2 hours 10. So that was a week of 144K. I was tempted to actually go out for a second run that afternoon, bring back the old like Sunday double, but I'm just like, I don't want to get greedy. I've had this like temperamental hip all week. I'll just play it smart and just leave it at 36.5K because I'm obviously enjoying my running at the moment. Fitness is coming, but I also don't want to overcook it and, get injured. So anyway, it was a pretty decent week.
Very decent week, Bradley. That's a great week. It's good.
Big training for a pacing job.
Well, it's not just the pacing job, Moose. It's more of I'm just trying to lay a foundation, which I haven't had. Like, it's pretty much this week last year that I got diagnosed with the VT. So, I want to sort of get to Gold Coast in a good place, which I'm pretty much there, and then try and use that as a bit of a springboard for the second half of the year.
Yes. Let's talk about the second half of the year.
All right. Well, let's talk about that after Gold Coast.
No, now. While we're on the podcast talking.
No, you want to do it now?
Brady, you
want to do it now? I want to do it now.
Or do you want to do it after Gold Coast?
I'd like to do it now.
Is Melbourne sorted, Crux?
Was that?
Is Melbourne entry sorted?
No. So it's changed a little bit. It's changed a little bit over the last couple of weeks. So you boys don't know this. I haven't told you this, but I've got an entry for Chicago.
Oh boy, here we go.
So last October, Brady sent us a message saying, boys, we should all do Chicago next year. And Brady, I think you sent through the link to that like US development program.
Yeah, free entry.
And so at the point, like in October last year, like I hadn't been given the all clear to even train properly. Like, I just pretty much started walking off the back of my surgery and after having that loop recorder inserted. So I think I was restricted to like 50K a week or something. And when I opened it up, I'm like, well, there's no way my time from Gold Coast in 2022 is going to like count for a 2024 race. And I looked at it and they had like this Masters category. So it was, obviously for over 40s, if you'd run under 2 hours 30 from the 1st of January 2022, you're entitled to a free entry. So I'm like, well, it's a free entry. Even if I'm not allowed to race, it's not going to cost me anything, and I'll put in an entry. So I got that, and I've sort of been sitting on it. I've let like a few people know, and so that's why I've sort of been slowly like building to the point where if I can get through Gold Coast in decent shape, I can then take a couple of weeks like easy, and then actually have a decent marathon block. But also in October, it's like we didn't have the house that we've just moved into. And so now I'm like, well, even just a domestic marathon later in the year would appeal to me, which is obviously Melbourne, but I don't have an entry for Melbourne. But then I saw on Friday they brought out the time qualifiers. Did you guys see that?
No, I didn't. This is all news to me, Croaks.
Yeah, so they've brought out time qualifiers now for different age categories. And so for people under 39, for males, I think it's 2 hours 45. And so for over 40s, or between 40 and 49, it's like 2 hours 50. And what they said there, if more people apply for those time qualifiers than what they have spots, it'll be on like who's run the fastest within your age group. So I'm guessing what they'll do is they go, okay, who's the fastest under 39-year-old male? They get a spot. Who's the fastest under 39 female? They get a spot. Who's the fastest male under or over 40 to 49? And then they'll go back up to and basically do it that way. So my thinking now is if I pace Gold Coast and then I just sort of jog in the last 10K, I'm still going to run like a 2 hours 30, 2 hours 35 even, which should get me enough to get one of those entries for Melbourne. And then, maybe save an overseas marathon for next year when after I've turned 45.
Oh, I thought we were going head to head in Chicago.
Yeah,
Chicago.
My mind is blown here, man.
We'll see.
It's happening.
Anyway, that's my thinking at the moment. So, it's just more about justifying going to Chicago to run a low 220s, which I don't know.
Life experience, life experience.
I know it's life experience, but I've also got to think, I've got a mortgage now, and it's like, I do want to do an overseas marathon, but I prefer to maybe do it when I'm sort of in that next age category at 45.
Yeah, probably don't look up Chicago accommodation prices.
Anyway, I've got those two options. So I can either go to Chicago. I don't even have a valid passport at the moment. My passport's expired, so I've got to sort all that out.
15 weeks away, isn't it?
Haven't booked flights. What's that?
It's like 15 weeks away. You got plenty of time to sort it out.
Yeah, they turn that shit around in a week.
Yeah, I've got plenty of time, but I haven't booked flights, haven't booked accommodation.
Get on the Lulu trip. Lulu's paying for Brady.
I was looking at accommodation today. You know how much it is a night to stay there?
Yeah, well,
like $750, $800 a night accommodation.
$800 a night
for basic stuff. Yep.
In Chicago.
No.
Yeah.
No
$800.
Open a new tab now and just Google that weekend.
That's not right.
It is. I thought it wasn't right either when people sent it through to me, and I was like, oh boy. Well, I start picking up some
Melbourne is even more appealing then.
Yeah, you should not be checking that.
What sort of hotels are you looking at?
These are just basic hotels.
No, you're wrong.
Trust me, I thought it was wrong as well. M. Massey sent me through where she was staying, and I was like, oh yeah, that must be for 4 nights. And then I looked at it, it's like, nah, $750, $800 a night. And this is just like standard hotels.
What about Airbnb?
There's 40,000 people do the race. This isn't Melbourne or Gold Coast. Like they know they're getting people coming into their city. Open a new tab now and search it while I'm talking about this week.
So which for me then is even more reason to go, you know what, like train seriously for Melbourne, because it's like I haven't run a serious marathon for 2 years, and then ideally stay injury free for the next 12 months, and then get more organised so that I actually have an entry, flights, accommodation booked like months in advance, like a Valencia next year or something. So anyway, I've got looking at two options for an October 13th marathon.
We should all do Valencia next year because you can get in that early.
Yeah, I'd be keen for that because
Spain's way cheaper for accommodation as well.
Yeah, and we can organise it well in advance.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll whistle through this week, boys, because this is meant to be a quick show tonight.
You raced. I want to hear your race.
Yeah,
Talk about your race.
I'll talk about the race.
Why does it have to be a quick show? Why?
It doesn't have to be. I do want one of you guys to Google Chicago accommodation.
I'll do it.
Around the 10th to 13th.
On Airbnb now.
10th to 13th of October, somewhere near Monument Park, I think it's called. That's where the start line is. Just I don't want to sound like a...
Oh, you're trying to get accommodation on the start line?
No, just anywhere in that area.
Downtown? Is it downtown?
Downtown, yep.
Downtown.
Monday.
October what? October what?
October 10th, checking out on the 14th.
October 10. All right.
Monday, 60 minutes.
$220 a night.
No.
$245.
No.
$343.
Nah.
4-star hotels. I don't want to hear this shit from you.
You're making this up. Send them through to me if that's true. Monday, 60 minutes, 4:40 pace. This was King's birthday. I jogged on the treadmill that afternoon because I was watching the footy. So I ended up doing 45 minutes because I knew if I cut it at 30 minutes and went home, I might not have been able to watch the football in peace. So I just kept running on the treadmill until the footy ended. Good win by the Collingwood Magpies against the Melbourne Demons. Tuesday, got out for 90 minutes and some strides at 4:29 pace. Was going to work out. Terrible sleep Monday night. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to shift that 24 hours later. Tuesday, I also did 30 minutes in the Arvo at 4:57 pace. Wednesday, met up with Archie. Did 5 by 2K off 90 seconds slow jog. Around about 3:17 pace. Comfortably fast. Like, a bit windy too. Like, yeah, we just kept a lid on it when we were running into the headwind to not get too carried away and try to push the pace to like force it. So a bit slower than previous week's kind of thresholds, but with a race coming up, I'm at that stage where I'm building back up mileage and getting a bit tired from that. So yeah, it wasn't a bad workout. I was talking to Hopper about it on Road to Gold Coast Croaks. Like, I'm pretty impressed that you can bang out 15K at 3:21 pace in training, like at 7 a.m. in 1 degrees. Like, I find anything under 3:20s in training, I feel like I've got to work for.
Yeah, I know, man. I actually enjoyed some of your chat about trying to tell Hopper that you don't actually need to hit race pace in training, because when you then get to a race, you almost get 5 seconds a K for free. Like, it's similar to before Wollongong. I think my fastest tempo was like 3:23s for maybe 30 minutes. And by the end of 30 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm working pretty hard here. Like I'm happy to stop. And then, the 30-minute mark of the Wollongong race, I'm not only running faster, but it's feeling way easier than a 30-minute tempo at the lake does. So it's that same sort of theory that, you don't necessarily need to be hitting those splits in training because, like the race and the adrenaline, is worth 5 seconds a K at least, probably.
Yeah, I reckon as well. So that's why I don't mind running at 3:17 pace in training, knowing that we can go to a different level on race day. Thursday, 50 minutes before work, 4:36s. Friday, 60 minutes at 4:43s, and then 30 minutes in the afternoon at 4:55s. It was really cold Friday. I reckon after school, my run, it was like 10 degrees at like 4 p.m. Weird. Like usually we have like the frost in the morning and then it gets to like 15 and sunny. But yeah, that was fresh. And then Saturday, round 4 of the XCR season was at St Annes Winery, Ravenswood, the Melbourne side of Bendigo, which is the opposite side of Echuca side of Bendigo. So it took me about an hour and 20 to get there. This was 2 laps, 4K, finished 17th, but this was hard, boys. Hard course. I think it's probably the hardest XCR cross-country course. When you're not going up or downhill and you can try to find a bit of rhythm, you just can't trust where your feet are landing. The surface just has holes everywhere. Talking about shoes before, like try stepping back into a pair of spikes, boys. It's like, I haven't worn spikes since August last year. I really got my ass handed to me in this one. Like I ran 5 seconds quicker than last year, but I felt terrible from the first 50 metres through the last 50 metres. I think I paced it pretty well. Like my first lap was 12:56 and my second lap was 12:58. But I felt locked up. I felt like I had sore ankles. I felt like I had no rhythm. I felt old. I felt like I needed a few carbon plates under my feet. Like it was on paper, I was pretty happy with it. If you said to me, hey, you're going to run 26 minutes and finish in top 20, I'd take. But the way it came out, it didn't feel good for 1 minute. It was just a slog the whole way. So
you have a bit of racing around you?
Yeah, I kind of got, that huge dipper out the back where you drop down there, drop back up, like going down that. People are just, they just let their legs go. And I was a bit conservative and I probably got dropped from a pack. I thought I'd probably be in most of the race. And then I just was like 30 metres behind it the whole way and just could never close it again. I picked up a couple of people. A couple of people picked up me. It was, and it's so, like, the whole AV scene is, like, you beat a guy who beats you by 20 seconds at Albert Park, but then a guy sprints past you at the end that you beat by 40 seconds at Albert Park. You just cannot really make any sense of it when it gets to cross country and who's good at it. And I think 8K brings in some of those younger kids to have good runs and stuff. Like I really realised that I need to do like even just a few fartleks just to change up the rhythm a bit. And I think maybe at Albert Park in the 10K you can not wing it because I still ran, like 30 minutes and 10 seconds, but I just was much smoother on the road and I felt good locking in at 301, 302K pace and just holding that. Whereas this exposed me that I am not cross-country fit at the moment.
But it comes down to specificity in your training, Brady. It's like everything you do is geared towards running like fast on a flat road, like surface or on a track. It's like, you can, so you look at guys like, Mona, who was, good at cross country or good at sort of everything. And it's like, well, he ran hills like every week just as part of his training. He did heaps of fartlek type stuff where never got into a rhythm. So although he probably wasn't doing a heap of like cross country, like specific training, there was enough of that within his like weekly stuff. Whereas for you, it's like, your elevation per week's like 200 meters and you're running like 150K. And then all of your sessions are on like the road, like on a flat road. So, like you could be good at cross country if like you changed up your training, but it's not your focus.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I kind of like, we got the win as well. So like my head was like, I kind of knew if I could finish anywhere between like 15th and 25th that like my job's done kind of thing. So like probably could have really rinsed myself to find 2 positions, but I probably not gave up. You just like, yeah, it's just an interesting headspace when you're like that, and it's not like a goal, that race that you put on the calendar and circle and go, I want to run all out and have a blinder in this race kind of thing. So yeah, I think it will bring me up a bit, but yeah, shock to the system how hard it felt the whole way. But good turnout. Bats got the win again, which was good. So yeah, it was good. That his sister, I should know his name off the top of my head. You know, his sister's a real good 3K, 5K Bunnage, Amy Bunnage's brother. He absolutely smoked me in the last 200 metres. Like, I reckon he put 3 seconds into me in 200 metres in the final straight up that hill moose. Boy.
Through the vineyard, through the winery.
I got him coming down the vineyard hill and thought, this will be all right. We'll come out of, because he runs from Mentone and they're pretty competitive with us. And I thought, I probably need to hold this position here. Took him out of the hills, coming out of the vineyards, and then he smoked me in the last 200 metres. Very strong finish. So good day.
Sorry, Brad. I wouldn't be surprised though if like that sort of cross country race might actually make your sessions on the flat feel a bit easier, or or you potentially go faster for the same effort.
Yeah, I think it brings you up. I think it's as good as a week training, that kind of shock to the system there. And then Sunday I was on Auskick duty, so that's a weird time, like 8:30 to 10 a.m. So I didn't want to get up super early, so I did the Auskick and then I did my long run, which was 30k at 4:30 pace. I ran the first 11k with star of the Road to Osaka Series moose, Rach McGuinness, your athlete, and her partner Dan. They were in town, so I showed them a few local tracks for about 11k, and then did the other 19k solo, which was good. It's nice running.
Like good to see her run a bit for those that followed along that series.
Yeah, she's back on all right, building fitness. We were kind of ticking along at 4:35 pace, and she was chatting. So yeah, it's good to see her back, covering the ground well. So that was good. It was good. Bit weird finishing your long run at 1 p.m. straight into another Collingwood footy game to watch, but it was good. Week of 148k. Just need a couple of 100-mile weeks now. Just string a couple of those together. Get a bit of fitness. Yeah, weird how like a race that smacks you up a bit, your confidence is like, ooh, I'm in a bit of trouble. But you ran 30 minutes 2 weeks ago, so you know something's there.
What do you reckon about running with Croaks in Chicago? You blokes together.
When he said it, I was like, I can't believe he's blindsided me about this. Like, hasn't told me he was going. I was starting to get concerned.
Organised a trip without you.
I'm like, we could have been sharing this $800 accommodation together.
You got that message though, didn't you?
Yeah, but you didn't even include the marathon weekend, did you? In your search?
You told me when to check in on the 10th.
Yeah, and you've checked out on the 11th before the race weekend, you idiot. Check out on the 14th and see how much the price changes.
You wanted per night.
Hey?
You wanted per night.
Yeah, per night over the marathon weekend. Not the weekend before, not the Thursday night before everyone arrives.
Yeah, I'm on Airbnb. It's all pretty expensive. Like I've gone for from the 10th to the 14th, and you're looking at $3,000-$4,000.
Yeah, $1,000 a night.
It's nothing for you, Croaks.
We need some listeners. Is there any listeners out there in Chicago that own like a house that we can just sleep in for the weekend? Let us know. Also, if anyone's in Dallas, I'm flying into Dallas. If anyone wants to go for a run in Dallas that's a listener, hit me up. We could show me some local sites of Dallas. Anyway, 148 to say that. Let's move on. Let's thank some Patreon supporters. Who you got, Croaks?
I've got Nick Kirkup from Brisbane. And according to Strava, so this is his bio, it says, likes short runs, dislikes hills. He's run 15:50 at the Menippi Park Run, 33:28 for 10K, 78:35 for the half, and 3 hours flat at the 2017 Brisbane Marathon. He's a chartered accountant and works for Wraith Capital Group. So thanks for your support, Nick.
Geez, he could murder that marathon PB, couldn't he?
Oh, yeah.
15:50, 3 hours. Yeah, thanks for your support, Nick. Sorry if I've offended the marathon PB there. Who you got?
I have Grady Woods, who's a good Geelong man. He's run 18:08 at Dawmbusters, which is the unofficial Geelong Championship 5,000 metre race in 2023. He ran that, so that was the last edition actually. 38:08 2022 Run Melbourne 10K, and then 83 minutes the 2022 Sunshine Coast Half. Who I'm just doing some math on that in my head. It all seems about legitimate. 10K probably the best. 3:27 in the marathon, definitely not the best there. So he's also another runner who could cull his marathon time. Possibly a drafting team leader at Metricon, and he also runs most recently in the Nike Vomero because he's a good, loyal Geelong customer, which we love. Grady, thank you.
That was a big update, wasn't it? With that shoe, a good update.
Vomero 17. It's been out for a while, actually. It's been the best Nike jogging shoe that I've seen in a long time. Fits better, feels better. I spent a lot of time in that. That's still the shoe I've got on Strava. Done like 2,500 Ks in that thing on my Strava.
Good one. Thanks, Grady, for your support.
Grady.
Thanks, Zach.
Do you know what?
Your what?
Do you know what? Just before you get into that, Brady.
Yep.
I rate the name Grady over Brady.
I know more. I know more Gradys than Bradys too. More popular.
More Grady than Brady.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
I reckon I know 3 Gradys. And you don't? I reckon I only know 1 or 2 other Bradys. It's going to be pretty close now that I think about it.
Grady is the way more exotic version of Brady.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. How many other Bradys you know?
Brady?
Pretty rare name.
Pretty popular name.
If you have another kid, call it Brady. Really unique.
Call it Grady.
Call it Grady.
Call it Grady if you want to be more exotic.
I'm going to thank Zach George from the Central Coast. He's got a best 5K of 17:34. He's run a 10K in 38:20 at the Sydney 10K and 86 minutes at last year's Melbourne Half Marathon. We think he's a running coach / personal trainer at Alpha Performance Centre. So thanks, Zach, for your support. You know him, Moose?
I can get around that. Oh, no, but I can get around the Alpha Performance Centre.
Good
I'm all
title.
about that.
I like that name. Good work. Thanks, Zach, Nick, Grady, for your support of the Inside Running podcast. If this show brings you value, you can support us on Patreon. There's 3 different tiers there, depending on the level of support you can support us with. You can get bonus content at the top level. The Road to Gold Coast. Things are heating up on that show. It's getting good. They're 3 weeks from the race as well, so it's only going to get better towards race day. You get the early and uncut version of the episode every Monday night as opposed to Wednesday morning. And, I don't know. We're a very independent running media source, so maybe you get some good feelings about supporting an independent media source that can just talk authentically and honestly about running every week, knowing that we don't have any big bosses that we need to keep happy.
You throwing barbs at someone here?
Nobody. I'm just
trying to work. Who are we going at there? I don't mind. I love that you do, but who are we going at there?
Like if we, for example, were owned by an organisation and had to be, we've had some big people approach us over the years wanting to own the show and be employees for the show and have to be, pretty, you wouldn't be able to say certain things that we said if we were to agree to those kind of deals. So thanks
to money? They're going to pay us?
Yeah, like they would own the Inside Running podcast. But
send some of those offers through, mate. What have you just been knocking them back?
We're owned by the people. It means that,
you seen any of these, Brett?
No, I haven't. But
what?
If you guys know what I'm talking about.
Brady handing over his baby. This is his baby.
Exactly.
Oh, I think there should be a group discussion around these buyouts.
Minute you hand over the ownership, you very much get muzzled and you have to say certain things. So our independent, our Patreon supporters mean we're muzzle free on this show. Always going to be honest and authentic about our views on distance running, especially here in Australia. So thank you to our Patreon supporters. So if I've inspired you to chip in $5 a month, you can do that at patreon.com/Inside Running Podcast. Running news, AV cross country. Should have done this 10 minutes ago when we were talking about it. Ed Marks got the win. 23:55 course record. This course has only been going for 3 years, but they were telling me it was a course record afterwards. Beat hometown hero Andy Buchanan in 23:58. Seth O'Donnell 24:12. That's a big podium. You got guys just come back from World Cross. You got a 2:08 marathoner, and you've got the national cross country champ from a couple of years ago in third. Bats won the teams. Spoke about that. In the women's, Ballarat runner Katherine Dowie won the women's in 28:38. Jessica Coyne was second in 29:11. Bianca Puglisi was third in 29:12. and Sandringham won the women's there. So, good racing. Men's so much more men than women as well. I know I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, but just seeing the women lining up at the start of their race, I'm like, oh, wow, this is like it's a significant difference now. And we won't.
You mean in numbers, or you mean in numbers. Depth or top
numbers.
end?
Oh, probably depth as well. Like you're looking at those three. Well, yeah. What am I? I'm coming 20th, and I'm a 29-20 guy.
Yeah, it's top end as well.
Top end as well.
It's everything.
Yeah. But yeah, not exactly sure about the numbers. I'm sure they're looking at it and thinking, how do you balance it out there?
This episode of Inside Running Podcast is sponsored by AidStation. As an athlete-owned and operated online store, AidStation understands the role that good nutrition plays in peak performance. They've gathered the world's best sports nutrition products under one website so you can spend less time stressing about your fuel and more time getting outside. Stocking over 1,000 products from 80 plus brands, including energy gels, chews, hydration, running socks, hats, and recovery products, anything that aids your performance. Take your running to the next level and visit AidStation at aidstation.com.au.
European champs happen, Moose. To catch any of this?
Oh, no, I didn't catch any of this. No, but I'm going to read it out anyway. So there is the 10,000 metres. I saw the Italian one, actually, that popped up. Nadia Battocletti, she ran 30:51. So that is a solid time for Nadia. Not quite Olympic qualifier though, right? 30:40 is Olympic qualifier. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, but at a championship, that's pretty good going, isn't it?
It should be in off points on that for sure, yeah.
She's probably got the time. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. In the men's, Dominic Lokinyomo Labalu from Switzerland won 28 flat. 1500, we saw Jakob take the win, 3:31. And in the 800, Keely Hodgkinson from Great Britain ran 1:58.65. So we've cherry-picked a few results for you there. Jakob back on the winners list again.
Did you see his splits? Someone broke down his 100-metre splits from maybe 600 metres out. Have you seen these?
No, I didn't see it.
I know that he was a long way back, wasn't he, early on?
I haven't seen the footage of it, but I just saw the splits. And can you remember Hisham El Garouge, Athens? Was it Athens? Yeah, he tripped at Sydney. But you remember how he just wound it up so gradually? He did.
I did.
Yeah. So there's a tweet. I'll find the tweet. We'll see if we can get it in the show notes. But he just turned it up gradually. And I reckon his practice here, his strategy for the Olympics. Like he knows he can't go 200 metres to go against those boys and he needs to run them off their feet. Here they are. So this is the last 700. 14.6, 14.1, 13.9, 13.6, 13.5, 13.2, 12.8. Beautiful. Like I reckon that's what he's got to do at Paris, and it was just a dress rehearsal.
How much did he win by?
About second and a half.
Yeah.
Who was second?
Good question.
Hang on, I can tell you. If you click that link, all the results are there.
Oh, yeah.
Here it is. Yeah, so Joachim Vermeulen from Belgium, 3:33.3.
Did you hear about Jessica Judd? Is it Jessica Judd? Yeah. No, did she have a seizure during the race? Now has been diagnosed with epilepsy.
All right. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I wasn't following it that closely, but I saw that on Twitter as well. And then there's just an article here. British runner Jessica Warner-Judd says she has been provisionally diagnosed with a form of epilepsy after suffering a seizure during the women's 10,000 metre final on Tuesday. 29-year-old dropped out with 600 metres to go in Rome while being assessed in the medical centre. Said she had a further seizure which led to her being sedated and spending the night in hospital. She's got some talent and she usually rinses herself too. So not good for her. Hopefully she can get sorted and return to racing. Some more Australian races overseas. This was in France, 800 metres. So Abby Caldwell, this is her first race over there, isn't it? European Tour?
Yeah, so she's done a couple of she's run overseas, but maybe not Europe. She did a couple of she did a Diamond League, didn't she?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Anyway, she ran one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's raced overseas or Brady.
This is her best one, I reckon. 159.79. She won the race, beat Bindiri Oboya, who was third, in 2 flat .33, and Carly Thomas was seventh in 2:01. It's Muir was also in that race and finished 10th in 2:03.
A bit of a surprise from
good,
Laura Muir.
Good for Jess Hull, isn't it, if Muir's not going real well?
Yeah.
It's one less person she could potentially be not worrying about if she's not in form in a couple of months' time. 1,500 metres, Cam Myers was there. He was second. He ran 3:33.93. Jack Anstey was also there. He ran a PB of 3:35. And Jesse Hunt ran a 3:39. So not what Jesse Hunt's after, because he just missed a qualifier earlier in the year and needs to tick that off. Peyton Craig was also... Oh, sorry.
There's also head-to-heads going on here that may form decision-making towards the end of the selection period. Between Jesse goes out, runs the qualifier, but Cam's beaten him several times in Europe. We know now, we don't actually know what the selectors are looking for.
No. And if you look at their head-to-head, so Cam beat him at Bankstown when they ran that pretty quick race, but then Jesse beat Cam at Nationals, and then Cam's beaten Jesse here. I'm not sure if they've had another race or two, but they're three that I remember.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty interesting how you're going to go for race selection when that's on the cards. Like, do you go out and try and beat everyone else that's in the selection sort of race, or do you try to avoid that and go and run fast somewhere? Because we saw Stewie ran elsewhere in Belgium.
Yeah,
well, on that Moose, I'm wondering whether the selectors at some point will actually have a chat to Stewie and say, hey, look, Stewie, we know that you're in the top 3 or whatever on times and ranking points, but to ensure that we get as many of our top athletes over to the Olympics, how about we just pick you in the 5K, and then that frees up a spot in the 1,500 to then go with Adam Spencer, Ollie, and then it would be Cam at this stage. Does that come into the selectors' thinking as well in terms of how do we get as many of our athletes over there? Because it would be good to see Cam Myers, given how much of a talent he is, just with as much international exposure as possible. Because who knows, if he's following the same trajectory as Jakob, then in a year or two he's super world class and medaling at these major championships.
Yeah, but is that the selector's job to be making decisions around that, or do they pick based on the discretion that they have? Do they take into account that someone's been selected or is qualified in other events? Or do they just purely look at each event on its own and decide who is going to be the biggest chance to medal, or whatever the discretion that's being used at the time? I don't think that they should include those outside external factors.
They'll probably have to look at current form. So the qualification period ends on the 30th of June. So it's 2 weeks away. And Stewie hasn't run crazy fast yet over 1,500. So he won the 1,500 in Belgium in 3:35. And so if Stewie does want to run the 1,500, you'd probably want to see him run a 3:31, I don't know, somewhere, or 3:30 between now and then.
Because he had the shocker at Oslo too, didn't he?
Yeah, because at the moment, Cam ran 3:33.9 and Stewie's run 3:35. Stewie's already qualified for the 5K. And as he gets older, he's probably going to be more competitive over the 5. So, yeah. Watch this space. Glad I'm not a selector.
Yeah, 3:38 at Oslo. Hasn't ran quicker than 3:35 this year.
Yeah.
So that was his season best on the weekend.
So the selectors would have to look at that, going, what's he run this year? Because it's you can't pick Stewie based on, 2 years ago form. It's all right, what's he running right now?
Wow.
I'm sure the selectors in the marathon looked at races that were held 8+ years ago.
Yeah.
Like not to revisit that again.
Yeah, I know.
What about how everyone's like, you know what, we should really just move on from all that. Let's concentrate on how good the team is now. Let's look at all the positives. And then Athletics Australia changed their cover photo yesterday on Facebook. And it just, people just start piling in on the comments. You're like, who made the call to do that, to put the picture of the marathon team up as the cover photo? I get it, celebrate it. Like, maybe they were thinking, let's go with positivity. And then you just open the comments and you're like, oh boy, we're back to 2 weeks ago. Like, read the room, surely.
I know. It wasn't you could have put a lot of things up there. And they decided on that one, which was very interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's only 3 more weeks and then the marathon selection will be forgotten because there'll be controversy over the track team.
Yep. Can't wait.
Sarah Billings also won her 1,500 metres in Belgium as well, 4:06. So it's good to get the win, but that's not helping her case either, is it? 4:06.
No.
Kai Robinson was there. Big news about him as well. He is officially signed with On International, I think I read today, which was Dathan Rittenhein's group. So he's going to join Ollie Hall, Morgan McDonald, that star-studded group over there in Boulder. He was third in 13:15. Dave McNeil, this would have to be his slowest 5K since he was about 14, I reckon, 14:27. I don't know what's happened. If anyone can tell me if Dave's sick or did he run an extra lap or what happened, why is Dave McNeil running 14:27? Because that is definitely not what we consider Dave. Maybe he just got over there off the plane or something. I'm not sure. Chriso will know. I'll get some intel from Chriso. And then in France as well, Peyton Craig ran an 800. He ran a 1:45.86. That is something that's got to be helping him. Fresh off the plane after Oceania Champs. It's going to be interesting. Because Luke Boyes is who he's trying to fight out that spot for potentially. He was in Sweden, ran an 800 metres in 1:46.09. So pretty quick as well. Callum Davies was in 1,500 metres at the same meet. He took the win in 3:37.03. Jude Thomas also ran at 3:37. That's your overseas wrap for this weekend. Croaks, tell me about the Kenyan trials.
Yes, just before I do, so with those 800s, like there's still a good chance that Peyton and Luke could make the team because you've got Pete Bowl already selected. Joseph Deng's got time, but who knows? Like I haven't seen him race for ages, and so like if he didn't get himself back in terms of injury or whatever, and both Luke and Peyton are in the quota, or Australia have 3 quota spots, then potentially Peyton and Luke go and Joseph Deng doesn't. So there's still a good chance that both those guys will get a spot. Kenyan trials. So Faith Kipyegon, she did the double in the 1,500 and the 5K. She beat Nelly Jep Chachir in the 1,500 and Beatrice Chibet in the 5K. So I'm pretty sure with the Kenyan trials, it was first 2 were automatic and then there's 1 spot for selectors' discretion. In the men's 800, Wanyonyi, he ran 1:41.70, which is the 3rd fastest time of all time to win the 800 from Kinyamal, who ran 1:42.50. So Wanyonyi now is 3rd behind Radisha and Wilson Kipketer. So that's incredible on Kenyan soil as well. Reynold Chariot won the men's 1,500 from Daniel Mangudi, and Tim Chariot was 3rd. So I'm guessing that'll be their full team because I'm pretty sure Tim Chariot's probably done enough to get selectors' discretion for that 3rd spot. Mary Mora had to settle for 2nd in the women's 800 behind Lillian Odira. Faith Cheritich and Beatrice Chepkoech booked their tickets to Paris, finishing 1st and 2nd in the steeple. Ronald Quemoy won the men's 5K from Jacob Crop, and Amos Serum won the steeple, beating Simon Coach. So pretty much those names that we've read out there will be representing Kenya in Paris.
Yep, and probably winning a stack of medals, you'd think.
What about that 100?
Oh,
yeah.
Crazy.
Alarm bells?
Been around for a while.
He finished 2nd. Didn't he finish 2nd at Worlds last year? Wanyonyi? I think he may have. And he's pretty young.
definitely got some medals before. Did you see the because at that meet in Hengelo, they also do the European 10,000 metre Olympic trials. Did you see this finish?
No.
26:31 it was won by. Kajalcha won it. Aragawi was second, 26:31.1. So like dipped him on the line. Barega third, 26:34. 6 guys ran under 26:50.
Jesus.
Incredible. I'll make sure this link's in the show notes too, please, Ross, for the video, because the last 200 metres is amazing, just seeing these guys go all out, and that could be, easily a couple of medals there at the Olympics. Good wrap, Croaks. Listen to the question. Let's bring this show home.
So we've had a few sort of questions come in, sort of similar wording, and so essentially it is, if you had to run in one shoe for a whole year, what would it be? So I take this to be like you had to train in it, you had to race in it. And like I know we've answered these sort of questions before, but obviously the shoes that have come out since we last answered this question, I thought it would be a good one to touch on.
Nike Alpha Fly 1.
You got to jog in this.
Yeah, you got to jog in it as well.
I reckon it'd be okay to jog in.
Oh, I'm a massive fan of the Alpha Fly 1. Like that's my go-to for a marathon, but I don't know if I could run in it all year, like in mulligans. And
you've got to race in it too. You're not going to have a good race for the year if you don't pick a shoe you can race in.
No, I'd pick a shoe that I could still race in, but like...
What are you picking?
Yeah, I think... for me, it would probably be like the New Balance super shoe, because I feel like really comfortable jogging in that. But that's the shoe that I wore on Friday morning for that 15K tempo. I feel like it's sort of comfortable. Either that or the Mizuno one, but the Mizuno one's probably just a bit heavier than what the New Balance one is.
It's not too far off, but it is. Oh, it's actually pretty similar, I think, off the top of my head.
So
what do you got,
I'd be more sort of that, I think.
You got to remember, Croaks, where Brady runs.
Yeah.
Bloke runs on absolute airport strips of tarmac, day in, day out. He could wear whatever he wanted. He's not going around a corner. Guy runs out and back on a highway.
Yep.
True.
Alpha would be good. Even the dirt, the fire trail roads are just dirt, firm. Yeah.
What would you be, Moose?
Be my go-to.
Yeah, it's really tough because I do some really technical trails and I very rarely race. So I would think that I'm going to pick a shoe that I would avoid, that I would enjoy the majority of my running for, and I would pick the AthsVic Super Blast, which isn't a great trail shoe, but it handles it okay, and it does dirt roads very well, and it's it has some good foam in it that you can do some workouts in if you want to. My racers would struggle with that though.
Yeah, that was on my short list, Moose, but I thought about the one that I'd still be able to race okay in, and I think sort of the New Balance was it SC Supercomp Elite 4. I feel like I'd get a bit more bang for my buck in racing in that shoe.
That's a good shout, that shoe. Just don't think it could handle the trail.
Yeah. Well, it's not technical trail here, but...
Yeah. Well, Mulligans isn't really. It's good trail. It's nice trail.
Yeah. So...
Good chat.
Speaking of shoes, Moose, one shoe I am looking forward to trying is my first ever trail shoe. Thanks to you and running company Geelong.
Oh yeah, I thought you could. You're about due for a trail shoe, mate.
Yeah, the Fuel Cell Venom. So is this basically the Rebel with like trail grip?
It's basically yes. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. It's got the same sort of foam as a Rebel. So it's pretty soft, it's pretty light, pretty poppy. It's not plated, so it's a natural feeling shoe. Don't reckon you're going to use it for your 30Kers, but I reckon if you get like a bit of a mushy day out at Mulligans, you'll be able to whip around your 410s in an hour out there.
Yeah. Because it is quite sort of wet at the moment, and that shoe rocked up today, so I'll definitely be giving it a spin. So thanks, Moose.
Yeah, all good.
Croaks has gone hard with the shoe chat tonight. In the absence of Shoe Geeks not happening, I reckon Croaks has really put his hand up and said,
Tomorrow night we're booked in for the 18th time. Do you know what? Tom
Listeners
Buchanan
in the
gets
DMs.
sick so often. The bloke does not eat enough calories, and he is sick every second week. Nita says that he's busy, but he's on holidays most of his life. So I've been there ready and waiting to go nearly every single time, and these blokes just keep cancelling me. It's going to be a 4-hour episode, though. We've got so much backlog to get through.
Well, Brady, that's the reason why I brought up so much shoe chat, because I've been reading the messages from people saying, hey, is a Shoe Geeks episode coming out soon? I'm like, well, if it's not coming out, we'll do a bit of a combined IR/Shoe Geeks in the one episode.
On a light week, pad out a bit.
I was about to give them both the sack, but they're actually very good at what they do.
Is
so
Tommy
we need
racing
them on
Gold
there.
Coast?
What's that?
Is Tom racing Gold Coast?
I don't know.
They'll
ask him tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll ask him.
Some quick whispers here. Keep an eye on Jack Rayner's Strava. Nothing since the 11th of June. Hearing a whisper that he could have a bit of a hip issue, which would be unfortunate because he kind of got so close to qualifying for Paris with that 10K and then kind of went to the road race instead of chasing. I always wanted to see him do that.
Well, that downhill race, right? That was a few weeks ago now, though.
I think it was after the Great North Run? One of those
Manchester
ones?
10K.
Yeah, same owners.
No, but then he did that downhill one.
Pulled out 2K into it, And then that was the last thing he's put on Strava. So there's a bit of a watch there. OIC, they went hard today announcing Carly Thomas and Kai Robinson. So Kai in the US, Carly in OIC Australia. So two big names there. Continues their no dickhead policy for people they sign to their group. And that's about, I did have a bit here about Moose, about a big SEN contract for you coming from Hutchie at SEN about your, most influential person in Australian distance running croaks, talking about Olympic coverage to the masses, I reckon, in a few months' time. Let's keep a bit of a watch on that. He might appear on that show a bit more often. I know Cornsy's a big fan of the show. Cornsy, get him on there as much as possible. It was good hearing that during the week. And that's all I got. Moose on the loose, what do you got?
Oh, yeah, I got a couple here. First one, got a shout out to the running industry. They're going to cop it here. Where are all the men's half tights at that actually have pockets that we want to use? So you know how many women's half tights are out there that have these beautiful little slide pockets that you can put your phone in on the side. They got a little slide pocket on the left-hand side as well. Chuck all your gels in, your key, your dog poo bags, whatever you want to carry with you. Women's half tights everywhere that have these slide pockets. That's what I'm calling them, little pouches on the side. Now, try and find me a men's one out there. And Brady, don't say Lululemon because they've got no fucking stock.
I know.
They haven't had stock for 2 years now.
I've got 3 pairs of them at home.
Way before my link to Lululemon, we were banging on about how amazing those the Surge Lululemon half tights were.
Surge half tight.
Yeah.
And they haven't. I haven't been able to find a pair since.
Yeah, that's brutal.
They're still my go-to. Like every Sunday, I wear them because I put one of those 90-gram gels just in the side pocket and
good.
Fits perfectly.
Yep.
And I wore them on the weekend. I raced in them. They're bloody old as. They're starting to get saggy, fall down.
That'd be 3 years ago, wouldn't it? Or 2 years?
Well, do you know what I did? Because you know how we got given a few different pairs over a couple of different periods? I actually kept one aside so that I was going to turn that into my race pair, which is quite funny given I've never raced. So I've essentially got one brand new pair, which I might rock at Gold Coast.
You could wear that to the live show, actually.
I've got some details about
You
that.
could wear them to beers afterwards.
Yeah,
you could put a beer on each leg.
Let's hope my marathon doesn't go that badly that I'm rocking up to the live show straight from the finish line.
Yeah, I can't believe you're finishing now as well. This is great. You're right though, Moose. When it happened, when we got those ones, we banged on about how good they were, and then no other
sold
brand.
Them out.
It's sold out, haven't reproduced them, and no other brands also thought to do it.
No. So the other one is there was a training group in one of our southern states that did a workout the other week. About 100 of them did it. 5 by 1 minute steady, 1 minute jog, 1 minute hard, 1 minute jog.
3 minutes, you got to get it right. 3 minutes steady, 1 minute jog, 1 minute hard.
You got to get the session right, Moose. Otherwise, you're arguing. It goes
So
down the
you
gurgler.
blokes know it. See, this is the point. This is the point I'm trying to make here. You blokes know off the top of your head, don't you? What do you call that?
Call it moose fartlek, 5 sets of it.
You do call it a
30
moose
minutes in
fartlek.
total.
We got these other coaching groups taking my workout, giving it to their hundreds of athletes, and not even paying credit. I see all this Strava's being sent to me. Oh, check this bloke out. He's run your workout, and he didn't even give you credit for it. I'm like, oh, he probably didn't know. And then I click on the group. There's 50 of them. Same title. Come on.
Did their coach know,
show
though?
some
Did you
love.
credit you? Does the coach know who you are?
Oh, I spent a bit of time with the coach, actually, the handbag the other day in Melbourne.
The handbag.
the steak knives, I call him. He's copping it now because of this. If he had have called the session what it was, then we're not calling him the steak knives.
Well, put it this way. If it was a monofartlek, everyone would have named it monofartlek. No one's calling that 2x90, 4x60, 4x30, 4x50.
Look, I'm not out here comparing myself to mono.
I am.
But let's not go
I feel
that
like you
far.
are. I feel like you are. Man.
No, let's avoid that. I'm not doing that. But I'm saying if someone comes up with something creative like this, just because I didn't trademark it, maybe I have to go to the trademark committee.
At least they didn't
Show
try
some
to
love.
pass
Show
it,
some
as
respect out there.
pass it as another name.
Yeah,
You know
come
what I
on,
mean?
steak knives,
They
do
could-
better.
All right. What's coming up? The live show. After party sold out, boys. The which I don't think it's called the after party. The celebration after the live show. Numbers are capped. But what did that email say today? Anything else?
Just that they will, they're sold out, but they'll keep an eye on the day in terms of no shows for the celebration part. So
That's right,
there's still a chance potentially of getting in.
Had to get that right.
You want to be getting into the main show though. There's only I think it's 2/3 full, and don't be waiting for the day. You won't get a spot.
406 of 600. So yeah,
That's some numbers.
we're 3 weeks out and we've got 194 tickets, but 406 have gone so far. People were hitting us up on the day last year, trying to get in on the day. I think they closed it off before then. So yeah, definitely get yourself organised. It's a free ticket. You don't have to pay for anything. It just takes you 2 minutes to log in there. The link will be in our bio, in our show notes, all those kind of things. Lululemon Australia, it's also in their bio. So yeah, if you're thinking you're half chance for that, lockdown ticket before they go. And yeah, there will be potential. I guess if you're after that celebration afterwards, the best way to be a chance if there are some tickets opening up would to be at the live show, because that happens straight after the live show. So it's going to be good. Croaks said he's going to do the show with his shirt off if we get a sold out crowd of 600. So that's something to look forward to as well.
Yes. I'll buy them all out. I'll buy them myself. I'll be on there later.
Yeah, just keep hitting refresh.
Yes.
That's going to be good. 2.5 weeks away, 3 weeks yesterday. Best weekend of Australian distance running. So yeah, that's I'm super excited. Can't wait to get some sun on my back, get up there on the Gold Coast and do a live show. We do the weekly show, so it's very much it's a bit weird for some people. They're so used to just hearing us in their ears when they're running, actually sitting there and listening to the live show. Do have a couple of guests organised so far, a few more still to lock in. So it's going to be good fun. Can't wait for that. What else is coming up? US Olympic trials are on this weekend. No idea how you watch it, but it's usually pretty entertaining, especially the men's and women's 1,500 metres, because that's always fun. Centro still kicking around as well, boys. He could be a dark horse. Keep an eye on that.
Yeah, well, he ran well a few weeks back. We
did.
spoke about him on the show.
Got experience. Nagoose, Hocker, Cooper Tier, a few of those guys are going to be pretty handy to watch. That's all that's coming up at my end. What do you got coming up, Moose, between now and next week?
Not much now. I'm going to start training for Sandown. I need to do that. That's going to be my next thing. Then Bundoora. No, then Gold Coast.
What are you doing? You got an entry for Gold Coast? You got that
No,
sorted?
you're going to hook me up. You said you were going to.
I tried to hook you up this morning. You got to follow
Look
through
at
this.
those tickets for me, mate.
Yeah, well, yeah. Jeez, it's hard to carry this bloke, Croaks.
Yeah, you got to send that email, Moose.
Yeah, right. I'll
Told
send
you.
that.
Brady's not your bloody manager. It's not 2019 anymore, Moose.
Yeah.
No,
I'm trying to find a way out of doing this race, to be honest.
What are you going to do, the half?
Well, I don't know. Whatever entry they got, I guess.
Or if you could do any one, do the marathon with Croaks. Go around a 2:24.
What pace is that? What pace?
Like 3:25s.
Oh, yeah, I could jump in that for 10K. Run to the hotel and back. Run to the hotel and then I'll go for a surf. Catch you later in the Arvo for the live show.
Yeah, just tell Ryan you'll just jump in with Brady and myself for as long as you can.
Yeah, no pressure there. I like that.
Yeah, that could be fun.
A bit of training.
Croaks, what are you doing between now and next week?
Just training, bit of track tomorrow, hopefully. If the hip's good, and probably one more decent long run, and then I'll probably have a couple of lighter weeks. Okay. What are you doing, Brady? Are you going to go like long in the lead up to Gold Coast at all?
Because I've got a marathon block coming. I've come out of a marathon block a couple of weeks ago. I'll do like one. I reckon I'll do one workout and maybe go 32, 34K.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking that I'm probably in 66, 30 shape. So slowing it down to 72 should be pretty cool. Pretty comfortable. And then I've just got to go for an extra 9K to get to 30K and then make a call on if I want to go the extra 5.
So that's where we're different in that, like, I don't have as much of that speed reserve because I'm definitely not in like 66 half marathon shape. So it's like I need to rely more on my strength because like my speed's not great at the moment. Yeah.
Patreon supporters, keep an eye out for Road to Gold Coast. They'll be coming out Thursday morning. Do it all again next week, boys. See you later.
See ya. Have a good week.
See ya.
Thank you again to this episode's sponsor, Aid Station. Runners, if you're looking for a one-stop shop for your endurance needs this marathon season, Aid Station has you covered. Use the code RUN10 to get 10% off on your first order. Go get your gels and hydration from aidstation.com.au today and make every run your best run.